No matter what you go through, keep dreaming. Keep going, don't quit, keep reaching. You can be the best you wanna be, gotta believe it.
Well, good morning and welcome back to the Keep Dreaming podcast. It's been a couple weeks. It's been maybe about 2 weeks since I last was in front of you all, but I wanted to take some time. I wanted to rethink some things and I wanted to kind of just take a break for myself. But I wanted to rethink what I wanted us to go, the path that I wanted us to take for season 3 of this podcast. You see, in season 1, if you remember, it was talking about the dreams, developing the dreams. What do those things look like? And I found in scripture during that time was Psalm 37, verse 4, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And then when we talked about season 2 was about evolving, and it was titled The Evolution of the Dreamer. But when I think about season 3, while I love season 1, season 2, a lot of that content was motivational, was inspirational. But what I want season 3 to be about, I want it to be about a lot more teaching, going more in depth, giving you real life principles that you can apply to really challenge yourself. You see, I want you to grow. As I grow in life, I want you to be able to grow. And that's what this platform is about. Me taking the things that God has placed in my life, that has taught me, that has grown me to be able to apply to you in your life so you can go do the same. And so season 3, if I had to give a title to it, it's going to be entitled Stewarding Over the Process. We're going to talk about a new word this season, stewardship. And so without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump into episode 1. But there are a few things that are different. Number 1, I got a new couch. Switch it up just a little bit. Got a little leather brown couch. So I wanted to kind of spruce up the scenery. But as I always say, we're not skipping the coffee segment. And so today, I'm just keeping it traditional. I got a black coffee. So if you, on your end, if you have your coffee, tea, mug, water, whatever it is that you have, let's do a cheers to season 3. Now let's jump into this episode. So for the title of this episode, it's going to be entitled, The Dream is Free, but Stewardship Will Cost You. I'm going to say that again. The dream is free, but stewardship will cost you. If I had to go back and kind of give like a little bit of a background for you all, for those that are tuning in, we got to really define what are dreams. Psalm 37, verse 4, where it says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. The dreams that we're talking about, I'm not necessarily talking about a dream car or a dream house. Those aren't the dreams that we're talking about. But we're talking about the different desires that God has placed on the inside of you. And so if we're keeping it that simple, everybody has dreams. But more importantly, everybody has desires. And those things, what I like to tell my audience is when I go speak, the desires that God has given you, those are glimpses of a possible reality. I'm going to say that again. The dream and the visions that God has given you, they are a glimpse of a possible reality. He's showing you what is capable in the one life that you have been given, but it's not guaranteed. In order for it to be guaranteed, I got to take a step into it. I got to be willing to jump off the porch, as we would say, be willing to take that risk and go after and pursue it. But when you think about desires, even when you think about dreams, you can imagine that. You can imagine yourself living this type of lifestyle. You can imagine yourself creating this type of business, but those things are free. And while I love for us to imagine, while I love for us to vision, even sometimes writing it out, that's free. It's not going to cost you, but it will cost you to walk that path, to bring it into reality. And one of the words that I've learned over the course of time is stewardship. And so the definition of stewardship is being able to manage what is in your control. So let's just say we draw a circle and we place you in the middle of the circle. Everything that's inside the circle is yours to manage. Going back to the Bible, when God placed Adam and Eve in the garden, that was everything there for them to steward, to manage. Everything outside of the circle is beyond our control. So if I had to give an example, if I drew a circle, placed myself on the inside of the circle, and I had a job, my job is something that I steward. But the weather for that day, maybe I wanted it to be sunny, but it was raining. I can't steward, nor can I manage the weather that is outside of my control, that is outside of my circle. So I only focus on the things that are inside my circle. But the things that are inside my circle are not going to be easy. They're not going to be free. They're not going to be simple. Some of them will be difficult. Some of them will cost me time. Some of them will cost me sleep. Some of it will cost me money. But at the same time, if it's in my circle, it's there for a reason. God knew something that maybe I didn't. Whatever is in my circle, maybe it's going to teach me something. Maybe it's going to grow me in a specific way. Maybe it's going to help me to run into a person that can actually help me creating some type of network, some type of path line in order for me to get to the next phase of my life. And so stewardship, the basic definition is going to be what is in your control to manage. Not necessarily to rule over, to reign over, but to manage. You see, stewardship a lot of times is for seasons. In this season, I am managing this. In this season, I am managing that. And so stewardship is going to be the things that you manage for a temporary time until God moves you to the next phase. So what does stewardship look like? There are going to be 4 phases that I want to cover on today on the different types of stewardship that I feel like is going to be relatable to you right now in your life and where it is that you're trying to go. I don't know what your desires are. I don't know what your dreams are. But if we're following after Christ, if we're following after God, they will be impactful. Going back to season 2, I talked about inspiration. Inspiration is that thing, it's kind of like an igniter, like a fire flame to your dream. It's going to ignite you. Inspiration will change you, which in response will help you to create the dream or the desire that God has for you. And in that, it will then go out into the world and be impactful. So, inspiration, we're starting with you. You will have to change to become a better version of yourself. When you become a better version of yourself, the dream or the desires or the plans that God has for you will be implemented into the world, which then will impact and change the world. So there's a pattern, there's a cycle to all of this. But stewardship is a part of that cycle, and that's the part that a lot of people don't talk about. So the 4 categories that we're going to cover on today as it relates to stewardship. Number 1, you got to learn to steward yourself. That's the first lesson. The second lesson, you got to learn to steward time. The third lesson, you got to learn to steward your gifts. And then the last lesson, you got to be able to learn to steward your assignment. So before we go any further, I'm switching things around. I want to get into our Bible reading real quick, and then we'll go through the lessons. So I'm coming from Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 18. And we're going to be covering this little specific passage for a couple weeks, but this is about the talents or the investments in the Bible. So I'm reading out of the Message version. So if you go to Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 18, it says, "It's also like a man going off on an extended trip. He called his servants together and delegated responsibilities. To one, he gave $5,000, to another, $2,000, to a third, $1,000, depending on their abilities. Then he left. Right off, the first servant went to work and doubled his master's investment. The second did the same, but the man with the single thousand dug a hole and carefully buried his master's money." Don't bury the gift that God gave you. Don't bury the dream. Don't bury the vision. What are you going to do? What responsibilities do you have in order to manage to bring whatever dream or desire that God has for you? That is what we're going to be talking about. And so that's coming out of Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 18. So the first lesson, you got to learn to steward yourself. When I think about stewarding myself, stewardship can deal with a lot of different things, but first I got to steward internally. I can't focus on anything that's going on around until I steward what's on the inside. Yourself is comprised of 3 things: mind, body, and soul. So first, I got to steward my mind. What am I reading? What literature am I reading? Am I reading comic books? Am I reading magazines? Or am I reading some type of self-help? Am I reading an informational book that's going to teach me what it is that I'm trying to learn? What am I reading at night? The other part about that, when you're talking about feeding the mind or stewarding the mind, is also getting proper sleep. Am I going to bed at a good time in order to give myself rest, to rest my mind? Am I getting up early enough to be able to have time just to myself? I got to find some type of way, some type of pattern, some type of standard, some type of routine to make sure that I am taking time to steward my mind. What music am I listening to? The thing that go in this ear and comes out this ear, is it important? Is it relatable? Or is it irrelevant? If I'm trying to maybe create a business, is listening to rap music really going to help me to get to the next level? And I know some people may say, well, oh, that's just rap music, but everything is intentional. You have to be intentional in every single thing, from what you eat, from what you listen to, what you watch, what you hear. Everything plays a part. And so if we're talking about stewarding the mind, we got to be careful of what we are putting into our mind, what we're reading, what we're listening to, what we're hearing. All of those things are very important. So the very first thing when we're talking about stewarding yourself, you got to make sure that you're stewarding the mind. Second, as it relates to stewarding yourself, I got to steward my body. What am I putting into my body? Am I drinking alcohol? Am I smoking weed? Am I doing drugs? Am I eating junk food? Am I doing things that's going to deteriorate my body? Or am I going to eat healthy? Am I going to drink water? Am I going to put healthy supplements into my body? You only got one body. The Bible talks about keeping your temple healthy. So in order for you to be the best version, you got to be able to steward this. I got to be able to manage this. I got to be able to manage my flesh, but not simply just from a health standpoint. I got to be able to manage the lust aspect as it relates to flesh. I got to be able to manage all of those things. I got to be able to steward those things, but I got to make sure that I am tracking it every single day. So I got to be able to steward my body. And then the last, I got to be willing and able to steward my soul. What am I telling myself? What do I believe about myself? What affirmations am I telling myself every single day? I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a public speaker. Every day I tell myself that I'm the best speaker in the world. I don't know if that is true or not, but that's what I believe and that's what I tell myself. So anytime I get on stage, now I'm speaking that because I've already put that into my mentality because I'm stewarding my soul. I'm believing what the Bible says about me. I'm believing what God says. I'm reading that day in, day out. So the affirmations that you tell yourself, what you believe about yourself, that's going to help you to manage and steward the soul. So when we're talking about stewarding yourself, I got to steward my mind, I got to steward my body, and then I got to steward my soul. So that's going to be the first lesson, being able to steward yourself. The second lesson, I got to be able to steward time. Time is finite, which means that we're not getting it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And a lot of times we don't get to the next level, or we're not able to make things happen because we don't steward our time well. We're always late. We're showing up late. We don't know how to go to bed on time. We don't know how to leave a function at the proper time. We're staying there far too late. Being able to steward your time is going to be another aspect in being able to manage the dream and the desires that God has given you. You got to be really able to manage your time. Some things that can help you with managing your time or stewarding your time, setting up proper alarms, creating boundaries. If you know that you have a hard time leaving a function, maybe bring an accountability partner, maybe bring a friend to help you leave that function. If you know that you struggle with getting up in the morning, maybe you got to go to bed a little bit earlier. Maybe you got to set a few more alarms. Maybe you got to turn the phone off at night, turn the TV off at night. Only you know what it is that you have to do. But stewarding your time is going to be another aspect in order to understand stewardship as it relates to you. Also, in stewarding time, you got to be willing and able to say no. That's one of the hardest things. It's been hard for me in a lot of different seasons being able to say no. But when you say no to the outside and you're internally saying yes to what's inside. I'm going to say that again. When you say no, you're saying no to external things, but you're saying yes to yourself. So I got to be willing to set these boundaries. No, I can't be out right now. No, I can't stay out this late. I got to be up at this time. I got to show up at this time. When you show up, you showing up for yourself and you showing up for God. So I got to be willing and able to say no in order to protect the time, because time is finite. It's not coming back. And if God has given me an allotted time, I got to make the best use of this time. I can't squander it. I can't show God, hey man, listen, God, I can't even manage this. How can I expect to do more and greater things if I can't manage and be able to steward what he has placed right here in front of me? So I got to learn to be able to steward my time. So the first lesson we talked about was being able to steward yourself, mind, body, and soul. Second, we talked about being able to steward your time as it relates to time and setting boundaries. Third, you have to steward your gift. What do you mean, Charleston? I got to steward my gift. God has placed a gift in each one of us. Number one, you got to first identify what that gift is. My gift is my voice. God has blessed me with an impactful voice to be able to inspire people. So if I'm thinking about stewardship, I had to take time to figure out what is the thing that is going to be impactful in the kingdom. A lot of times your gift is the thing that is impactful. Impact means that it creates change. It creates inspiration. It makes people want to go from what it once was to something different. So when you take time and you reflect, your gift should be impactful. Once you identify what your gift is, how are you putting your gift into the world? Are you being shy and being selfish and keeping it to yourself? Are you putting it in a platform where it's self-gloat, where you're getting the recognition? Does it relate to pride? You got to be able to identify how you are using your gift. And when I identify how I'm using my gift, if I'm using it in the correct way, I got to continue to do that, and I got to continue to help it magnify. If I'm doing it in the wrong way, I got to take a recourse. I got to change direction, and I got to do something different. Being able to steward your gift, number one, you got to understand what that gift is. And then number two, you got to ask yourself, how am I implementing this into the world? So we got steward yourself, we got steward your time, we got steward your gift. The last, as it relates to stewarding over the process, I got to steward over the assignment. What is my assignment right now in this moment? What is God wanting me to do? And sometimes that's the thing that's going to cost you the most. I know some of these other things, they're going to cost you. They're going to cost you your discipline. They're going to cost you friends and family. But stewarding over the assignment, I'm going to just be honest with you. It's going to cost you your patience. It's going to cost you your emotions. Sometimes it's going to cost you your money. But the assignment that God has given you in this moment, in this season, is for a specific reason and for a specific purpose. Quick reflection, personal story. I've talked about it a couple times on this podcast. But when I think about stewarding an assignment, I'm going to just relate it to jobs. How many of us always make statements about, man, I wish I had a better job. Man, I don't really like this job. I don't really like my boss. We do make those statements, and I've made those statements before. And I remember a job that I had for 7 years. I did not want to be there. I wanted out. I wanted to leave. What I didn't understand at that time was that that was my assignment from God. It wasn't about whether I liked it or not. It wasn't about me being out of alignment. I was right where I needed to be. But just because something isn't looking like the way that you want it to, just because something isn't happening in the way that you want it to, doesn't mean that it's not supposed to be where it is. And so that was my assignment. And that was my assignment for 7 years. And I had to learn to steward over it because it was teaching me some things if I actually leaned into it. A lot of times we don't lean into the assignment. We keep 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If this is what God has me in right now, I may not like it, but I got to be all in. I got to be 2 feet in. I got to have everything in it because it's teaching me something. Number one, I got to prove to God that I can manage this. I got to prove to God that I can be obedient to the plans that he has for me, because I know if I be obedient, at some point he is going to lift me up out of this season and place me somewhere else. But for right now in this moment, I got to be willing and able to steward the assignment. So what does it look like being able to steward the assignment that God has for you? The first thing, you got to say yes. When we were talking about boundaries and we were talking about time, I'll talk to you about being able to say no. When it comes to the assignment, that's something that has come from God. So I have got to say yes. When I say yes, that means I release control. Being able to steward over my assignment means that I release control. That means that I don't have a determining factor in this. I allow it to do what it's going to do. We've talked to plenty of episodes about being like water. I got to flow, not force. The other part about that is that you are becoming in this moment. In this assignment, you are becoming something. So I got to allow this assignment to grow me. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to like that boss. You're not going to like the hours. You're not going to like the pay. But we can't just pick up our bags and go to the next thing, because that may be actually out of alignment. And so being willing and able to steward over the assignment, the first thing is that you got to say yes. You got to say yes to God. But secondly, you got to say yes to your future. I know they caught you off guard real quick. You got to say yes to your future. Why? Because you've never met your future. You're on the path, you're on the journey heading to your future. So you got to say yes to your future, and then you got to say no to your past. Think about this for a second. Where you are right now is in the present. You've never met your future. This assignment that God has for you is going to help you get to your future. So if I say yes to my assignment, that means I'm saying yes to my future. But my present self, the only familiar person that I'm familiar with in this moment is my past, but I'm leaving that person behind. So I got to say no to them. I got to say bye to them. I can't go back. Remember, we often say we can't go back to Egypt. So I got to say no to my past. I got to say yes to my future. And if this assignment is on the path to my future, then I got to say yes. I got to embrace it, and I got to steward it. I got to manage it. I got to show up. I got to show up for my assignment. When I show up for my assignment, I'm showing up for God and I'm showing up for myself. So those are the things that we got to do when we're talking about stewardship. So the 4 lessons from today: you got to be able to steward yourself, mind, body, and soul. Number 2, you got to be willing and able to steward your time. I got to set alarms. I got to tell people no. I got to create boundaries for them and for myself. Number 3, I got to steward my gift. What is my gift? I got to identify and ask myself, how am I putting it out into the world? And then the last, I got to steward my assignment. Even if it's difficult, even if it's not sexy, even if it takes years. It took Joseph years. Joseph was in the pit before he got to the palace. But I can't bury the gift that God has given me. I can't bury the dream. I have got to make use of it. Remember, I said the dream, the vision, the desires are a glimpse of a possible reality. I want you to get to that reality. I want you to make it to that reality. One of the wealthiest places in the world is the graveyard, because so many people have these dreams and these desires, but they don't go for it, and they die with it on the inside of them. It's out there for you. Don't let it be like a TV commercial where it's passing you by day in and day out. Step into the show. Step into the movie, step into your story, and let God pull it up out of you. But you got to be willing and able to steward what is in your circle. What I want you to do right now, if you're driving, if you're listening, whatever it is, I want you to either draw a circle or envision a circle. And I want you to ask yourself, what's in my circle? What are the things that are in my circle? This job that I hate, low funds right now, a disobedient child. What is in my circle that I have got to figure out a way to manage? One of the things that God told me before was that you have everything that you need on the inside of you. But in order for you to figure out what you have on the inside, you got to learn how to steward over yourself. You got to be able to willing and able to steward over the process, and that's going to help you. The saying that I would like to leave you with as I begin to kind of wrap up this episode: I steward, God will sustain. You steward, God will sustain. Whatever it is that God is wanting you or calling you to be a steward over, whatever is in your circle, God will sustain. So what that means is that if finances are low right now, but this is what I'm managing, it's tight every single month. Every single month is tight, God will sustain you. If there is not a lot of food, just enough to fill my belly, just enough to get by, just in this season, God will sustain you. Whatever it is that is in that circle that God is wanting you to steward, it won't be like this forever. It won't be like that forever. It can't. God has already made promises, but for a season, it may be that way. But train your mind to say, whatever I'm stewarding, God will sustain. Whatever I'm stewarding, God will sustain. Now, as we begin to wrap up episode 1 of season 3, there are going to be a few things that are going to be different. The first is that I'm going to start providing some PDF recaps of these episodes, as well as PDF homework assignments that can help you as you retain this information throughout the week. It's going to help you to kind of put into practice. The way to get access to this is that whether you are on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple, I want you to go to the comment section. I'm going to pin a comment, and in that pinned comment is going to have a link where you can join the community. I'm building a Keep Dreaming community where I'm going to be dropping templates. I'm going to be dropping ebooks. I'm going to be dropping a lot of free things that can help you in your day-to-day life. And so what I want you to do is I want you to go to the comment section right now, and I want you to subscribe. And so things are going to be coming to your email, but you're going to get access to free content. You're going to get access when I'm on the road and I'm speaking. You're going to get access to my seminars. I'm doing a seminar this week in Detroit. You're going to get access to that. So make sure that you go and you subscribe. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe as it relates to the YouTube. We got to grow this thing. I appreciate each and every one of my subscribers, each and every one of my followers. I'm so grateful for you all being a part of the Keep Dreaming community. This thing is growing. And so the dream is free, but it's going to cost. But I want to let you know that the cost will be worth it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you all back next week for episode 2 of the Keep Dreaming podcast season 3. Peace, love, and as always, keep dreaming.
Through Christ Jesus.
You gotta be able to dream again. After you accomplish that one dream, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to God, you owe it to your family to be able to do it again, to dream again. But when you dream again,